Franco.
Here.
Councilmember Clufus.
Present.
Mayor, all members are present.
Thank you. Now open up to public participation. Any member of the public wishes to speak on items not on the agenda, you have up to 3 minutes. Please approach the podium, announce your name, and your 3 minutes will begin.
Good evening. My name is Silvia Puglisi, and I appreciate your chance to give me a speaking in this time. I'm a resident of Palm Coast, and first of all, I have to appreciate the city for trying to inform all of us users of our, Waste Pro and waste management garbage service. That was very interesting. That town hall held by the manager, the city employee, and the contractor. It was very interesting. Now, because the latest news that is of public knowledge of all the media and the city finding, rightfully doing, because the city has to hear both sides. Now, you haven't heard one side. You only heard the side of the complainer. So the city is right. They go and find the contractor for not complying with the proper service, right? Now, I was surprised of that. I started contacting a lot of people that I know in Palm Coast of all the many years I live here, and I got on social media, and it happens that I found the greatest majority of the people of Palm Coast, like myself, we are very satisfied with the service we get now from Waste Pro, the same way we were satisfied with waste management before them. It is a less than desirable job that most of us are not willing to do, right? And actually, they are doing it pretty good, thinking that we are through a pandemic right now, and a lot of services been diminished for all of us. And all these years that we've been with Waste Pro, I have no complaints. We cannot expect our Waste Pro people to go and sweep the street, or some complainers, like said, they had 4 tires for a week there. We are supposed to call them if we are going to have tires disposed. We are supposed to call them for additional. I pay for my tires disposals when I change my tires. I pay for my appliances to be hauled away for a little fee when I change appliances. All those that get them for free from our contractor, at least they should know that they have to call them and make an appointment for that. If they don't get picked up, they bash these workers and they bash our service. Honestly speaking, we are concerned, many people, myself, somebody that is here present as well, that we have a great service, and we don't want to be changed to get an increase at this point, because already our utility, water, sewer is pretty high. And most people are going to have a hardship to pay for a higher fee. So honestly speaking, I'm talking on behalf of our Waste Pro, many people, many online, and our Brad West knows, she saw my posting online, are for it. So I appreciate if you
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
keep them. Thank you.
James. A couple of things brought to my attention. I believe these meetings should be held more at night because it gives the people in town an opportunity to attend. People still work during the day. They have other commitments. This gives us more voices and chance to express their concerns, just like that Slowway issue last month. We had more information about what was the problem with that. People need to be here to be able to express their concerns and issues with these projects. During the virtual town hall meetings we had, I submitted questions and comments every week, and so did other people, and none of them were ever read. So this stuff gets overlooked and ignored if people aren't here in person to face you folks and tell you what's bothering us or what needs to be corrected, or we'd like to have corrected, actually. So this would be a great way to just more meetings at night, to have more people attend to express our concerns. And one of these examples, I understand, is that the city seems to love to spend our money. And they wanted to spend, what, $200,000, $400,000 on a sign over the I-95? And yet it was knocked down. But we spent millions of dollars on 2 traffic roundabouts that are dangerous. We could have done a lot less, a lot better with just a couple traffic lights. Because those tight turns are tight, trucks are running over the curb, and they're squeezing cars out going around those turns. So that's ridiculous. And I understand we're trying to spend millions and millions on pickleball and tennis court renovations. If they want to do that, let that not be on our dime. Let that please be let them do it through private donations or fundraising. We still have a lot of retired people, taxes are going up. We don't want to pay for it. You know, we are the majority, we don't need that stuff. Put that money to good use, like installing more street lighting, repaving the streets, retrenching a lot of the swales that are still in bad repair and flat, maybe helping some of the food banks. And it would be probably a nice idea to have some kind of indoor activity game center for youth and families to keep these kids off the street instead of breaking into cars. So, thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Steve Carr, Palmcoast. I'd like to say, Waste Pro I have not ever had a problem with them. I think they're doing a fantastic job. I would think it would be better for us to not spend extra money on automated part of it and use that money for the public works area. Also, I'd like to thank the city manager Morton for meeting with me and listen to my concerns about the traffic on Florida Park Drive. And he has taken an interest in it, and I'll be waiting to hear from him when he's formulated his opinion about it. Also, the speeding on Florida Park Drive is still a problem. It's like every day. And I know the sheriff's department's been out there, and they do tend to slow down while the sheriff is there. But as soon as he's gone, it seems like somebody raised the flag and said, "He's gone!" Zoom. So anyway, that's an issue that stays on Florida Park Drive. It's just a lot of speed. And I want to thank y'all for doing a great job. Thank you.
Your comments. Next speaker.
Good evening. On Easter, I spent 2 hours in my backyard, just relaxing in my backyard. I counted a vehicle every 1.79 minutes coming through slow way to access just a cut through. It's to the point of ridiculous. It's nonstop, all day long, every day. The dust that's being raised is unbelievable. Also, on the March 16th meeting, when another resident discussed her mother and her golf cart, the mayor reiterated that golf carts are not legal on the city streets. At 5:27 p.m., I took this picture. This is on County Road 325, but I witnessed her go down slow drift turn and turn onto slow way. So it's blatant disregard of city laws. This needs to be corrected. It needs to be corrected immediately. The delays have gone on long enough.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
Hi, my name is Monique Durso. I'm here today, which I'm sure is not a popular subject, but it's about our mask mandate. Our governor lifted the mask mandate, which I'm sure he consulted with his health officials before he did it, and we're still wearing masks. And there's a gentleman that he invented, I'm bringing this up because this is relevant, the inventor of the PCR test is Kerry Mullis. He said this test was never meant to detect free infectious viruses and not to be used as a diagnostic tool, which is where we stand today. We use it as a diagnostic tool. We found out recently in January that labs are running these the cycle threshold at around 40, which gives you a higher false positive for the virus. So they've said that needed to be lowered, which was, it's supposedly around 25 or so. and I have all this information, I put copies and references and everything in my paper that I'm going to give you. Just to give an example, Elon Musk had 4 tests done in one day. 2 came back positive, 2 came back negative. So that goes to show how this is a good example that the PCR tests are giving false positive readings. And that's what we're using to say, okay, well, we have all these cases, and we're counting maybe even asymptomatic people as cases, and that don't really have COVID per se, well, they have COVID, but they're asymptomatic. And we know now by the CDC has confirmed that people that are asymptomatic have a very low risk of transmitting anything. So with that being said, I've also attached here, per OSHA, NIH, the CDC, prior has documented, and I put the partial quote from it because I didn't want to take up too much time, that the birth of the mask came from the realization that surgical wounds need protection from the droplets released in the breath of surgeons. The only mask that protects you from a virus is the N99 and the N100 masks. So, other than that, and also dentists have come out and said that they increase tooth decay, candida growth, and gum disease from wearing these masks all the time. Healthy people should not be wearing masks, and we should have the right whether we want to wear it or not. And there was a Danish study as well that for you guys to look up, was done in November 2020, a controlled study that showed masks do not protect you. It's like wearing a chain link fence on your face because the virus particle is so tiny.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker,
Should I leave the copies that I made up? Just give it
Communications
to
Officer,
you.
please. Thank you.
I put 6 in there. Thank you.
We'll close public comment. I know, Celia, you brought up Waste Pro, so did Mr. Carr. Obviously, we're going through a competitive bid process, which we're required to do. The contract for Waste Pro is coming due. We're going through an evaluative process now. We have engaged our entire community in an effort to understand what the community's needs are currently and will be moving forward. And so that is yet to be determined when that goes out to bid. Waste Pro certainly will be bidding on that contract. I really appreciate the over 11,000 responses we've received from residents thus far on their experience. And the majority of residents certainly have indicated that Waste Pro has been a good provider for them. So that will be considered and included in the proposal as well. So thank you for your comments. Appreciate the other commenters. Sorry, sir. Appreciate the other commenters. And as far as a slow way, I'll let Mr. Morton address that comment either now. I know you addressed the commenters at the end as well. Thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Something over here. I think it's the appropriate time. The reason why I'm saying it's the appropriate time is basically answers.
I know, but our rules and procedures do not allow
Okay, they're not
counsel
allowing.
during public participation. No, they
Thank you.
don't.
Thank
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We'll now move forward to the adoption of the minutes of the approval of March 16, 2021 business meeting. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, it passes unanimously. Proclamations and presentations. Agenda item number 2 is a proclamation, April as Child Abuse Prevention Month. Vice Mayor Branquinho, you'll be presenting.
Absolutely.
I'd ask everyone receiving the proclamation to please approach the podium.
Mayor, do you mind if I face this way?
Please do.
Hello. How are you? Welcome. It's a proclamation. Whereas Florida bright future depends on healthy and development of its children, and whereas adverse childhood experiences, including the abuse and the neglect of children, can cause severe and costly consequences for children, families, and society as a whole. And whereas every child has the right to safe, healthy, and happy childhood where they are educationally and developmentally on track. And whereas research shows that parents and caregivers who have support systems and know how to seek help and keep in times of trouble and more resilient and better able to provide safe environments and nurturing and experiences in their child. And whereas it is vital that individuals, business, schools, and community organizations make children top priority and take action to support the physical, social, emotional, educational development and competency of the children. And whereas during the month of April, Prevent Child Abuse Florida, in collaboration with the Governor's Office of Adoption and Child Protection, the Florida Department of Children and Families, and Ounce of Prevention Found in Florida, implement Pinwheels for Prevention. And whereas Pinwheels for Prevention is a state-coordinated campaign aimed to increase awareness of child abuse prevention efforts by encouraging health, child development, positive parenting, and community support. And whereas the blue and silver pinwheel displayed in this campaign are used to symbolize the health and happiness of the children deserve. And whereas Child Abuse Prevention Month is an important opportunity to urge all Floridians to engage in activities to strengthen families and communities, and that provide the optimal environment for health, child development. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Mayor and the City Council of the City of Palm Coast, Florida, April 2021, Child Abuse Prevention Month, signed on this 6th day of April by the City of Palm Coast Mayor Lisa Hall. Anyone's going to accept this? Okay, and if you want to say a couple of words.
April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, a time to celebrate the good things that our communities do to promote healthy child development, support families, and help prevent child abuse and neglect. It only takes one positive, caring adult to build resilience and make a lasting positive impact in the life of a child. Everyone can help make great childhoods happen.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Anybody else?
Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Thank you.
coming.
Thank you. We'll now read a proclamation declaring the month of April as National Mayor's Challenge for Water Conservation Month. Councilmember Branquinho will be presenting. Our communications director will be receiving the proclamation. I'm sorry, Barbosa. I'm sorry. I'm really looking at you, too.
I need my reading glasses.
I'm the same way.
Mayor, Council. Water is basic and essential need for every living creature. And in the state of Florida, St. Johns River Water Management, District of other water management districts, and the city of Palm Coast are working together to increase awareness about the importance of water conservation, and the city of Palm Coast and the state of Florida have designated April typically a dry month, when water demands are most accurate. Florida's Water Conservation Month to educate citizens about how they can help save Florida's precious water resources, and the city of Palm Coast has always encouraged and supported the water conservation through various educational programs and special events. And every business, industry, school, and citizen can make a difference when it comes to conserving water. And every business, industry, school, and citizen can help by saving water, and those promote a healthy economy and community. And the city of Palm Coast is participating in an annual National Mayor's Challenge for Water Conservation, and encourage all residents to take a pledge online at www.mywaterpledge.com. During the month of April, Palm Coast, Florida has hereby declared, by the City Council and the City of Palm Coast, Florida, does hereby declare the month of April as Water Conservation Month, and calls upon citizens and businesses to help protect our precious resources by participating water-saving measures and becoming more aware of the need to save water. This April 6th.
Thank you. Brad?
This is a great program and awareness throughout the month. We'll be highlighting it. We encourage everybody and the public to go on mywaterpledge.com and make Palm Coast #1. Thank you.
Want to say a few words?
Absolutely. Thank you. Garen Hopkins, I'm environmental specialist of the city of Palm Coast. I just want to say thank you to all you guys and all our residents who continue to do their part with this. As Brad said, please take the pledge at mywaterpledge.com. We're currently 7th in the country right now in our category, so we're doing great so far. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Agenda item number 4 is a presentation on the Mayor's 90/90 Challenge results. Matt, did you want to announce this, or did you want?
Certainly. So as many residents will recall, hopefully the Mayor's 90/90 Fitness Challenge has been annual. It started January 4th this year. Had a bunch of participants and teams. Many residents took the challenge from our Mayor, Melissa Holland, to improve health step by step, literally. And they were able to log on and log their miles. Miles were counted as a bunch of activities, of course. We had over 25,000 miles logged, and we have today our Parks and Rec Department here to present the results, discuss the challenge, what a success it was, and I'm sure to get people thinking about participating next year.
Good morning. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Lauren Johnston, Director of Parks and Recreation. And I have with me Brittany McDermott, our Community Recreation Manager, who really led the cause and initiative this year alongside a lot of our supervisors, as well as our Recreation Supervisor of Marketing, Kim Brown, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. So we're going to go through a couple of great, wonderful highlights. The challenge was really great this year. It was nice to do the walks in the evening, the pickleball tournament, the bike ride. We definitely had a diverse set of activities that included all of our amenities, from the pool to the tennis center and et cetera, even the golf course. So go ahead, Brittany.
Good evening. Just to give a brief overview, the Mayor's 90/90 Challenge really is meant to be a kickstart to hopefully a more physically active and healthy lifestyle throughout the year. The challenge itself ran from January 4th through April 3rd. The overall goal was to complete 90 miles of activity in 90 days. We had a record-breaking year with the number of miles. I've actually got some new updated stats since I made this PowerPoint. So we actually had over 30,000 miles reported, which was our highest year yet. We had 196 participants and 19 teams. So I was really excited to see the participation this year and really want to thank the residents for doing that. And especially the ones that went above and beyond. We had some people that reported upwards of 700 miles throughout the challenge, so definitely went above and beyond there. We did develop some SMART goals for this campaign. The first was participation. We were hoping to attract at least 250 people to sign up. With the 196, we were at a 78% success rate on that. It's a good foundation for us to move forward and hopefully see that percentage grow in the future. The other SMART goal was the miles. We were hoping to log at least 25,000 miles. As I just said, we had 30,000, so I really should have a plus sign next to that. So we exceeded 100% on that goal. And then our last was, as Parks and Rec, we really strived to develop 90 different activities throughout the 90 days. We were able to do that and had some great participation, so we received 100% on that. This is a great foundation, again, moving forward to establish our goals and kind of update them for the next year and really strive to keep it moving forward and get even better. So again, some of these stats have been updated since I made this PowerPoint. So we had 196 participants actually. And then residents had the opportunity to enter either miles or minutes of activity. Some of our activities are hard to track miles, like yoga and weightlifting. So we worked with our IT department and got an algorithm put into Salesforce where you could actually enter in the number of minutes of activity, and 15 minutes would automatically equate to 1 mile. So that is how we got the exceeding of 30,000 miles. As you can see, in previous years, it's continuing to be a trend that running and walking is the most popular activity that is reported. We attest that to our beautiful Parks and Trails system. Our residents love to get out and explore our trails, so we're seeing that through these numbers getting reported. And then we were very excited this year to enhance the Teams feature. This was feedback we'd received in previous years that people really wanted to do this with their friends and their family and to be able to actually put a team together. So again, we worked with the IT department and got that enhanced this year where you could actually go in, make your own team, create whatever fun name you wanted, join all of your friends and family onto your team, track the miles. We even had a team leaderboard, so that was really exciting to follow as well. And we ended up with 19 teams participating this year. And we're very much looking forward to seeing that number continue as the years go on too.
One thing to mention, we also had an inter-city department competition, and 3 of the 5 teams on the top leaderboard were city departments. So finance, stormwater and engineering,
Public Works was
and
up
public
there.
works.
So speaking of teams, this campaign truly was a team effort, both internally and externally. We had lots of different staff from other departments participating. We had every director led a walk each week with the mayor and other council members. We had other city staff lead their special programs. So, for example, we had Carol, our urban forester, lead a nature walk out at Long Creek Nature Preserve. We had Jordan in the community development department, who's also our registered Gopher Tortoise agent, lead a Gopher Tortoise walk at the waterfront park. Those were very popular and well received. So it was exciting to see other staff get involved too. And then of course, Parks and Rec is very diverse. So we had something from every angle: golf, tennis, athletics, aquatics, seniors, youth, teens, you name it, we had it. The 90 different activities throughout the 90 days. And then of course, we can't go without thanking our community partners. Advent Health and Palm Coast Observer were both sponsors, and they actually led their own programs as well. Advent Health led a really successful Zumba event at the community center, and Palm Coast Observer led some really nice fitness walks, so that was very exciting to see that participation. And then also included in our Be Local, Buy Local initiative, of course, we had several local businesses that really supported the campaign too, so we just really want to thank all the different city staff and community partners for making this happen. And then, of course, like I said, this is meant to be a kickstart to a more physically active and healthy lifestyle. So we really want to encourage our residents to keep moving. Parks and Rec already has our whole summer activity schedule out, which is through August. There's plenty to do. So please look at Palm Coast Connect. We have our activity guide linked there and all different kinds of fun things that can keep you moving throughout the year. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you both. Thank you for your entire team. It was an extraordinary effort by everyone. And obviously the purpose of this entire initiative is to keep our community healthy, moving, understanding the incredible amenities that we have right here in their backyard. So great participation, and really applaud your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Council, I'm going to recess the City Council and convene the State Road 100 Corridor CRA Board. Agenda item number 5 is State Road 100 Corridor CRA Resolution approving the contract for purchase and sale of the Smiley property located at 33 Giroux Street, Palm Coast, Florida.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, City Council. This was heard by you at the City Council workshop of February 9th, 2020. There have been no changes to suggested items other than we did a environmental analysis. This is part of the direction of the CRA Board for continued acquisition of properties in 2 targeted areas within the CRA. Those acquisitions specifically at owners willing to sell at the appraised price. That is what we are considering tonight, is the purchase at the appraised price, or appraised value, excuse me. We do have Virginia Smith here for any questions you may have on this item tonight.
Council, any questions or comments? Any member of the public wish to make public comment on agenda item number 5, please do so at this time.
My name is Celia Puglisi. Thank you for letting me ask you a question. This is for the completing land for the town center, correct? For the CRA of the town center,
That's
right?
correct. Yes.
Okay. Now, when we purchase that, Mayor, is that purchase with residents' tax monies, or is that purchase with the tax revenue from the CRA that is only to stay in the CRA for a number of years? I think we still have 5-7 years for that.
You can complete your comments. I'll answer your questions.
This is my question, that's all.
Thank you.
If we have 5 or 7 years on the CRA, and if this is purchased with residents of Palm Coast money or with money from the CRA, that does not contribute to our taxes. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Close public comment. Mr. Morton, can you answer that question, please?
Yes, so the purchase is in fact with funds from the Community Redevelopment Agency. There's actually an item designated in there for capital purchases or capital acquisitions. And yes, we still have several years left on the CRA before those tax incentive provisions that the city enjoys now would expire.
Thank you. Council, ask for a motion.
Make that motion.
Alice, second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, it passes unanimously. Now adjourn the State Road 100 Corridor Community Redevelopment Agency Board meeting and reconvene the City Council. Move to resolutions. Agenda item number 6 is a resolution approving Point Grand Apartments Master Site Plan application.
Thank you again, Honorable Mayor.
Mayor, Council, if I'm sorry to interrupt, this is a quasi-judicial matter, so if there have been any ex-parte communications regarding this matter before this evening, those should be disclosed at this time.
I've had none.
Communications whatsoever.
None.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Mayor.
Sorry, thank you.
Thank you again, Honorable Mayor, City Council. We do have an application for a master site plan for Point Grand Apartments, a proposed 300-unit multifamily community located on the northwest side of Pine Lakes Parkway, north halfway between Palm Coast Parkway and Northwest Belterre. The property's existing zoning is multifamily, or MFR2. We do have planning, specifically Bill Hoover, to introduce and present this item to you tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Point Grand's, it's a multifamily project located on a 157.5 acre site on the northwest side of Pine Lakes Parkway, and it's about halfway between Belterre Parkway North and Palm Coast Parkway Northwest. The development area is only a small portion of the site. It's 34.64 acres. You can see it's located on the sort of the eastern portion. They're proposing it for 300 multifamily homes. Since this master site plan has over 100 homes in it, it becomes a Tier 3, which requires a review and recommendation by the planning board before coming to the City Council for final review and determination. You could see the overall site has 2 designations on the future land use map. The light gray area is conservation. The red area, including the development area, is mixed use. To the north, you can see a royal blue area. That's institutional. And then to the west of that, in the crosshatched area, is DRI, mixed use, and then more conservation further to the west. To the east, there's some mixed use, or northeast, I should say. That's where the Pine Lakes Apartments is located, directly east of this site. It sort of fronts on Pine Lakes Parkway. The yellow area is all residential. And as you go to the south, you can see more residential and mixed use. And then to the west, we have we have mixed use and conservation. This is the zoning map. The subject property, including the development area, is all MFR2 in the brown, which stands for multifamily. 2, which are higher intensity. The COM2 area is about 400 feet deep and runs along the north side of Pine Lakes Parkway. To the north of the site in the blue is Master Plan Development, or MPD. You can see a little bit more directly east of the site where the Pine Lakes Parkway, or the Pine Lakes Apartments are. The gray area to the north is P&G Parks and Greenway. And as we get east and southeast of the site, you can see the gold area is single-family residential 3, which requires a 10,000 square foot minimum lot size. The burgundy area directly southwest of the site is high-intensity commercial. I believe that's the High Cube storage area there. And further to the west is PSP, public, semi-public, in the light blue area. And additionally, more COM2, which is our general commercial zoning district, and by far the most common commercial one we have in town. This is their site plan, and the north arrow in this case is in the upper right-hand corner, so it's at almost about 2 o'clock. You can see the buildings are located, there's 9 buildings. The buildings 1 and 2 are located on the southerly portion there between the 2 access points. So the project sort of wraps around the COM2 area there, or general commercial. That area is about 7 acres and it's about 400 feet deep. On the left-hand side of the main access road is another 4 acres of commercial. So altogether, sometime down the road, probably quite a few years, we'll have that commercial get developed. You can see the location of the Pine Lakes Apartments on the east of it. And then there's a lot of wetlands on the back of the site. So the site's going to be pretty well buffered. Additionally, the property owner has agreed that the COM2 area, the trees will be retained on there, which is will provide a nice buffer while construction is going on. In addition to that, it lets the landscaping mature around the multifamily buildings. The closest buildings to single family would be buildings 1 and 2. And since that commercial area is about 400 feet deep, and Pine Lakes Parkway is about 100 feet across, so we got a little over 500 feet to the nearest single-family homes. These are the site development requirements for the project, and they're based on the Land Development Code and the Multifamily Residential 2 standards. A multifamily site, it's got to be 4 acres. In this case, we're about 35. Maximum building height is 60 feet. This project comes in at 42 feet 9 inches. Parking that the city's minimum required is 2 spaces per 2-bedroom apartment or 3-bedroom. So that would require 600. Additionally, 1 out of 3 multifamily units has to have a garage, so they can take out 100 of the spaces, parking spaces, and we count those for garages. So they're doing 100 garages, 500 parking spaces, and then additionally, they will have 20 parking spaces for the clubhouse and rec area. Minimum living area of these units, all the units are 2-bedroom. The minimum size in the Land Development Code is 650 square feet. These are all at least 50% larger. They're running between 1,107 square feet and 1,153 square feet. They've got 2 kind of building elevations. This is the one, and this is the second one. It has a little bit more two-tone on this one. As with most projects the planning department brings here, we have 5 key review criteria, and in this case, the master site plan is analyzed for it must not be in conflict with the public interest. It needs to be consistent with both the comprehensive plan and the Land Development Code. It must not impose a significant hardship or liability on the city, must not create an unreasonable hazard or nuisance, and it needs to comply with all applicable local, state, and federal government standards. Planning staff reviewed these 5 criteria, and we provide detailed findings on them in the staff report. In summary, the master site plan will not create a nuisance, hazard, or any compatibility issues as it meets all the development standards in the Land Development Code and is in compliance with its mixed-use designation on the future land use map. Additionally, all needed infrastructure is in place. The project supports 3 goals, policies, or objectives of the comprehensive plan. As far as public participation on this type of project, February 22nd, the applicant mailed out approximately 40 letters to neighbors, and staff prepared a mailing list for all the neighbors within 300 feet of the project. On March 9th at 5:30, staff and the applicant's team attended a meeting at the Days Inn. However, no one from the public attended the meeting. The planning board meeting was held the following week at 5:30 p.m. No one from the public attended this meeting specifically for the project. The planning board found the project in compliance with the comprehensive plan and recommended approval to the city council by a 7-0 vote. If this is approved tonight by the city council, the applicant would follow by a technical site plan that would be reviewed administratively by the city staff. Then they would apply for building permits that would be reviewed through the building department. The Planning and Land Development Regulation Board found this project in compliance with the comprehensive plan and recommended approval to City Council for application 4633 Point Grand Apartments, a master site plan for 300 homes, so the developer may apply for a technical site plan that would need to meet all applicable development requirements and subject to 3 conditions. 1, for the technical site plan, the applicant's engineer shall provide vehicle use area calculations on the site and landscape plans. 2, for the technical site plan, the applicant's landscape architect shall provide shade and understory trees, each spaced at about 1 tree per 50 feet, along the 2 shared entry drives as they travel next to the commercial areas on the landscape plans. 3, school concurrency shall be met during the technical site plan process.
Bill, could you further explain school concurrency, please?
I'm sorry?
Could you further explain school concurrency shall be met during the technical site plan process? What exactly is school concurrency?
What they've applied for the school concurrency already, and so the school basically advises us.
Oh, that's the evaluation of the
requirements, and they pay their impact fee.
Understood. So that's the impact that this development would have on the school in that area?
Yes,
Understood.
sir, to make sure they have appropriate student stations available.
Gotcha.
And that process happens during the technical site plan. And now we have, we actually had the Flagler Schools member, the planner is actually on our TRX team now and part of these meetings when we go to them.
Great. Thank you.
If I may, 42.9, 43 feet. Usually it's what, 3 floors?
Yes, these are all 3 floors.
And the smallest apartment is 650 square foot.
That's the minimum required. And so you would see that typically on a 1-bedroom unit, maybe 650 to 900 square feet. All their units are 2-bedroom units, and they're at least 1,100 square feet.
So there's no plan, there's no 650 square feet?
No.
They're not planned?
Correct. No, if they came in and switched this around, I believe.
We'd have to come back to city council. The development order is based on what is being crafted for their development order. So if they were going to go lower, we would come back to city council.
And
Yeah, they are exceeding our minimum standards of the code, yeah.
So they're looking about 1,000 foot minimum.
Mm-hmm.
And we're looking about 300 units.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
That conclude your questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Yes, I see they have 2 entrances and exits.
Yes.
Now, on a lot of these in Jacksonville, I've seen where they'll close off one entrance. Is there anything for preventing them from closing off so we don't have all these cars going in and out of one entrance?
They're going to be required to keep the 2, and so I'm not sure how we would
No,
enforce that.
they would be required to keep the two. As a matter of fact, our comprehensive plan requires two means of ingress and egress if you're at 50 units or more or greater, so they will be required to keep it.
Is there going to be any deceleration and acceleration to get onto the street?
Right, they're providing turn lanes out there.
And another thing is, this is 300 units, so that's roughly about 600 people. What are we going to do about the safety? I mean, we keep on building all these apartments, and we're not giving more deputies. Are we going to have a problem one day with the security, with the safety of? I mean,
Then each house has possibly.
Ma'am, you don't, no, ma'am, you can't, ma'am, you don't reach out, you cannot speak during this period, ma'am. Thank you.
My understanding is, you know, we keep tabs of the population through the Community Development Department. So where we're at today, it will probably take about 3 months for a technical site plan and a minimum of 9 months to construct the units. So I believe City Council bases the deputies that you have based on population. So if our population, let's say, grows 3,000 and it's 1 deputy per 1,000 is the rule of thumb, then you would fund 3 more deputies.
No,
Two to
sir,
2.5
no,
deputies.
it's not. Let's not
Yeah,
provide misinformation.
Yeah, let me, you know, when we're analyzing our site plan, you know, we're looking at level services that are part of our land development code, such as, you know, transportation, traffic, level service for parks, service for water and sewer. When it comes to things like public safety and the sheriff's office, I mean, we are coordinating with the sheriff's liaison, providing information on our growth reports and providing that data to them. But what we are analyzing the site is based on our comp plan and the level of service and making sure and ensuring that it meets our land development code. And at this point in case, it does.
As per the population that we have right now, the sheriff department is understaffed, and we're adding another 600 people here. So it's very important to me to understand if we're gonna, what are we gonna do about this? Because around the corner, we have another 300 apartments going up. That's another 600 people. Are those roads gonna be able to handle all this? Is the safety at jeopardy? I mean, I don't want to turn this into like Newark, New Jersey. You know, I want to make sure that this stays safety and controlled.
Mr. Morton, can you respond?
I would respond and say, you know, safety is a community priority, always has been. We have a great relationship with the sheriff's office. We have in fact provided deputies. You said we provided no deputies. We provided several last year. We provided 5 additional deputies per the contract. I'll remind the council that everyone in the city of Palm Coast pays the sheriff's department, just like everyone in the county does. On top of that, the city's paying an additional $5 million, so city residents pay more than county residents for public safety right now, considerably more, for an enhanced level of service. That enhanced level of service agreement is going to be going under negotiation. Bill was incorrect. We don't have a level of service identified. We don't have a call service volume identified. That's something we're looking into right now. And just to correct the other statement, the city doesn't build anything. You keep saying we build. We don't build anything. We're responsive to landowners who own property and have development rights in the state of Florida. So I think the sheriff's conversation is going to continue. Crime has gone down 49% as a point of fact. Our average age is over 50, which is the metric that doesn't commit crime. So we're trying to come up with a long-term strategy that's fair to everybody, our fantastic law enforcement, our community ratepayers, to figure out what additional staffing could look like in the future. So again, with a 49% decrease in crime and a 65% increase in the budget of the sheriff's department since, I think, 2014, we're trying to find where that ground is of how we staff moving forward.
I mean, people have told me about these new apartments in the town center. They're getting about 5 police calls a day. That's the only thing.
Town center paid specifically for their own deputy to handle that level of service as well, just for information.
That's why maybe we might need a deputy for this area. I don't know. You have to look. I don't know if there's a way of looking into it. If we get the sheriff department to look into it, I don't know what's the procedure here.
Paula, let me just state, we've had these discussions previously at council. The sheriff has indicated, if you can read the crime statistics, apartment complexes that have been approved and do not increase crime. There's no crime level increase in Pine Lakes apartment complexes. So again, we want to be very clear and correct in our responses and very accurate. So to state that is not an accurate assumption, sir. Thank you.
So I just have a question, Bill, on traffic on Pine Lakes. Do we have any indication of, I assume if there's 300 apartments, we're looking at maybe 600 more cars. What have we done to look at this traffic situation? Because that's a single lane road. It's not a double lane road.
Correct. The level of service on that roadway is fine, and the city's traffic engineer did review a traffic impact study from the applicant's traffic engineer, and the applicant does have their traffic engineer, I believe, on the Zoom call if you want to ask specific questions to her.
Well, they also have a presentation, but to answer specifically, every time we go through a site plan analysis, we require a traffic study, okay? And then that's done by a professional engineer, a traffic engineer. That's submitted to the City of Palm Coast, and that's analyzed by our traffic engineer to ensure that any increase in trips will not cause a decrease in the level of service for the roads, okay? And not only analyzing for turn lanes, but making sure that it maintains that level of service.
This study has not been done yet?
Yes, it has.
It has?
Yes.
Are we going to see it?
The applicant has a presentation, and they have their traffic engineer that's online, and they can elaborate during their presentation. I think that would be appropriate.
Thanks.
Mayor. Yes.
Does that conclude your questions for now? Councilmember Brosa, does that conclude your questions?
Thank you.
No other questions before I ask the applicant to present? Yes, the applicant.
Good evening. Shannon Acevedo with Matthews Design Group for the record. I'll give a brief presentation and try to be complimentary as possible to Mr. Hoover's presentation. This is the Point Grand application. Our applicant is Hill Point. And I also have Chris Buttermore with me as well from Matthews Design Group, should you have any engineering questions. He's the project manager for this application. And is it the arrows here on the microphone to go through the presentation? Oh, okay. So looking at the site, this shows the total area as mentioned. This is over 157 acres as far as the parent parcel is concerned. However, our particular development is limited to 34.64 acres. And you can see that kind of dotted out in the middle there towards the east. And as mentioned earlier, there's an expansive buffer around the development. You also have Pine Lake Apartments immediately adjacent, large buffer to the north and also to the south. And this just kind of gives you an idea of the development and how it's compatible with the area. And as mentioned earlier, this portion of the project would be within that MFR-2 zoning district, which allows for apartment development. And this would be to provide for 300 multifamily units. Gross density, looking at the site, would be 8.7 dwelling units per acre. The building footprint is roughly 9% of this parcel, and the impervious surface ratio, the amount of pavement in buildings, would be 37% of the area. And as was mentioned earlier, there is about a 400-foot depth of the commercial. This is the commercial zoned portion of the parent parcel. There is no plan for this commercial today. But as was mentioned earlier by staff, we are looking to keep that area uncleared until the point at which it is developed for commercial area. And this is just to kind of give you a general idea of what it looks like. So this is that buffer. We're looking now towards the commercial area that would be 400 feet from Pine Lakes Parkway, excuse me, and then the Point Grand Apartments would be behind that. And I wanted to share this. This is the same site plan that you saw earlier, but I think it's important to see the amount of open space that's provided with this project. The intent with Point Grand was to cluster the buildings close together and create a really efficient design so that you have a lot of that buffered area around it. And just to kind of get into a couple of the details, within that open space are some amenities that were planned. One is going to be either a dog park or tot lot. You can see that in that green space. And then the amenity center is going to be kind of directly as you're coming into the site. Once you get into that residential portion, it's a point of entry and arrival for the development. So I know there were a couple questions already about traffic and transportation. This is looking at full access driveways from Pine Lakes Parkway, and you can see the main access. It's got that sort of boulevard feel with the green space in the middle and the roundabout as you get into the residential. That's going to be the main access, and there is another secondary access, as you can see further east, about 850 feet apart. The level of service, as I understand, is existing C status, and that will remain with the development of this project. And along with that, there are turn lanes to be provided. This is to allow for more fluid traffic patterns so that there's not negative impact with the development of this project. For safety, I'll just mention, working with our transportation engineer, there was an identification of a mid-block pedestrian crossing. You can kind of see it. It's a little bit faded there in white, but it's kind of a little bit off to the side from Brookside Lane, and so we're looking at maybe moving that over in alignment with Brookside Lane for safety reasons. And you saw these renderings already, but just it always helps to have a visual to see what's being proposed here. So these are all 3-story, 2-bedroom units. And that is all I have for my presentation.
Bill, I had a quick question.
Sure.
The property, I'm sorry for our staff. The property is currently zoned what?
Multifamily
Property
residential
is
2.
currently voted, what?
Multifamily residential 2, or MFR2, which allows 12 units per acre.
So this is not a rezoning. This was always zoned for multifamily.
Correct, it's been zoned MFR2 since the city was incorporated.
Our first zoning map in 2004, it was designated as multifamily. When it was in the county, prior to us becoming a city, it was actually commercial, C2 for the county, and industrial. So when that came over to the city of Palm Coast, 2004, during our first zoning, it was, frontage was rezoned to commercial, and then that was rezoned to multifamily too in 2004.
Are these just regular apartments, or are they luxury apartments?
These are regular apartments, and the idea is that this will be an added workforce housing for, you know, things like police officers and teachers, and not deed restricted, but apartments that would be a good value add and option for residents moving to Palm Coast.
So did you say they are market-driven?
Yes.
So they are.
Yes, not deed restricted, but the intent is for them to match a price point that the majority of people could afford.
It is just personal experience, but to just share with the council that this does hit a sweet point for the two-bedroom units that are about 1,100, 1,200 feet big, that are not the single bedroom units that some people are looking for, but the two-bedroom unit seems to be something that our inventory in Palm Coast seem to be lacking just from people that I've spoken to.
Might be too soon to ask, but do we have a projected range on the price of rentals?
I don't have an exact range. I believe our client may be on the Zoom call if we want to try and ask that question directly. If he's available. If not, I wouldn't want to try and make that guess here on the record.
Do they know they're unmuted?
You want to ask?
Vasa Kate, if you're on the line, there was a question about the range of price points for the apartments.
Shannon, can you hear me?
Yeah, there's a little bit of feedback. You might, I don't know if you're on the phone and on the computer, you might need to mute one of those.
No, I'm just on the phone. No, all the apartments are basically the same square footage, so the rent's the same.
What was his response?
Could you repeat that? There was a question about if you have a range in mind for the price point.
Oh, it'll just be market driven, market rate, but all the apartments are exactly the same, so all the apartments are priced equally.
Okay, so it sounds like we don't have an exact number that we can share.
You're calling.
The only difference is the first, second, is ground floor, second floor, and third floor.
You're labeling it as workforce housing, so that's why I'm asking for a range. I don't even know what a definition of workforce housing is. Without that, I lived in the Soviet Union for a year. I can tell you what workforce housing means to me, and it's not this. So a range would be nice.
Vasa, do you have a maximum in mind that you're thinking for these apartments?
I think the range would be around 1,100 to $1,300.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions, council? Any member of the public wish to make public comment on this agenda item, please do so at this time.
Again, my name's Celia Puglisi. I just had yesterday a former neighbor of ours on the Palm Harbor area. She had to move to Pine Lakes area a year and a half ago because her mother came to live with her. She needed a bigger house. And this is very nice people. And she sent me an email yesterday, and she said that the traffic in Pine Lakes Parkway is horrible. They are awakened. There is, I haven't driven there. There is a need for a red light on Winfield Drive, in the corner with Pine Lakes Parkway, whatever. And she said that they are awakened by traffic, and also the motorcycles, incredible noise, and the traffic comes very fast, very dangerous in Pine Lakes Parkway, and a lot of traffic. So I'm asking the city, please, to really think about all this growth and how our services are going to be funded. With the sheriff department that says now that they don't have enough people for Palm Coast, and the city is trying to really work with him and talk about it. But meanwhile, the residents, we sincerely, we are affected by all this traffic, Mayor. Really, the traffic is incredible. In Palm Coast Parkway, in all our residential roads, the speeding, it is really bad. And with all this growth, I don't know where we're gonna end up with, because I don't think, honestly speaking, we have enough wide roads for what we need. The growth is incredible. So she's concerned about the apartments coming that she read about this project. And she now lives in off Pine Lakes Parkway. So I know that the mayor asked before our sheriff and our, in one meeting that I was before here, to our fire department to come up with some figures about growth, the cost of growth. We, the current residents, don't want to pay for that growth. And now on top of it, we have Tallahassee deciding to us not being able, the cities and county, to give so many high, those fees, the impact fees to developers. They're going to restrict the cities and counties to charge so many impact fees to the developers. And we need the impact fees for schools, for fire, for our roads. We need more roads, and for sheriff, for law enforcement. And you're going to be all limited by Tallahassee in that. You have read the news. Thank you, whatever you can do.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
I'm Carol Brassfield. I'm from Palm Coast. I'm just concerned about the job market here to support these apartments and families that are going to be living there, because I'm not seeing any new businesses or big businesses coming here. And then that adds to more traffic if they have to commute from one St. Augustine or Daytona. Plus, I have to agree with her, our house backs up to Pine Lakes, and the noise level on that street is just horrendous, even at midnight. The racing and the motors or the engines. So, well, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
Hi, my name is Randy Brassfield. We live in Palm Coast. I also back up on, well, my wife and I both backed up to Pine Lakes. The traffic is terrible there. The noise is, as she said, it's also terrible. And it starts at 4:30 in the morning and it doesn't end until after 10 o'clock at night. It looks like with 300 cars it was going to be bad enough, or with 300 apartments, but with 600, you're inviting these people to come down Pine Lakes, to go to Belterra on Pine Lakes rather than negotiate the traffic lights on Palm Coast Parkway and on Belterra. So I think it's just going to be too much traffic for us to bear. We liked a nice, quiet city. We'd hoped for a nice, quiet city, but it's not becoming that anymore. And this addition of this many apartments in our close area is just going to make it that much worse. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
Hi, Denise Calderwood, 44 Buttermill Drive. I'm concerned, same thing, support all the fact that the noise, the traffic, the motorcycles, the fact that the schools are there. We have the crossing guards with the schools, and that's fine, but as soon as the kids end as crossing guards, they're all over the road right there at that corner. And I pride myself on being a safe driver, taught safe driving education as a police officer and a community school resource officer here in Flagler. But the kids themselves need to be educated, to be very well and be very conscious. I'm surprised we haven't had more kids hit at that intersection because of where the Palm Coast existing apartments are and then the addition of these monstrosities that are being built. You know, we need affordable housing. We need affordable housing for all residents. And $1,100 to $1,300 is not affordable for the average resident in Flagler County. And I want to restate the jobs are not here. The workforce is relying on the city of Palm Coast, the sheriff's department, the schools, and our public government. But until the fruition of the vision of the mayor and what you would like to accomplish for the city happens, actually, those apartments are going to be vacant. And we do not have the federal programs to help subsidize anybody in Flagler County, because Flagler County government's not doing their job in securing the assistance that people desperately need. I run a volunteer not-for-profit organization, and my phone rings every day, and I am talking and listening to the people who are in crisis, who can't afford existing houses right now, and especially when their spouse dies. They cannot afford to live and remain here, and yet they have to move out of the community that they proudly call home, okay? My basic question is, where are the park impact fees going? Because I know they're not going in my neighborhood, which is in that neighborhood. Our community off of Burroughs Drive, there's assigned land there that we desperately need a community park on our street in Burroughs, and it's behind the Burroughs Fire Station. And it appears that the mayor has all the money going towards, you know, the new pickleball park and the court, the tennis court complex, and not supporting, you know, community local parks. And I'm very concerned about that. I will be requesting a public records request of the public park impact fees and how all of a sudden we have abandoned the strategic plan of putting community neighborhood parks in. Because that plan was paid for, the design site was already done over 18 years ago, according to my neighbors. And on my street and the 3 other butter streets that are in that complex, we've had 25 new houses in the past 4 months go up. Okay, so we desperately need a community park, and we need more accountability to park impact fees. And enough with the town center CRA. Thank you.
Next speaker. I'll close public comment. Mr. Morton? Please note the public records request, and please hand that over to the city clerk, please. You know, I can just speak to over 1,000 jobs were created, and we'll be actually starting. Boston Whalers hiring 350 people. Advent Hospital is hiring 400 people in their new hospital system, as well as other UNF and JU. So look forward to all those jobs created, high-paying jobs in this community. And other questions as far as the traffic, do you want to respond to that?
Sure, yeah. Again, you know, number one is every time we have a site plan that comes in, we do a traffic study, we analyze it in accordance with the level of service for that roadway. Not only do we do that for each project, but the city itself, it's in the comprehensive plan, that we do a citywide traffic count, and we analyze those numbers and see how it's increasing, and that's how, you know, we have our capital plan, you know, that Carl brings to you, you know, with road and improving roadways and those type of things. And when that need comes, we try to plan ahead. So we're always monitoring, not just from a micro level, from a site plan, but from a large level, citywide level of monitoring those, you know, tweaking the cameras, you know, traffic light signalization, all that's involved too, as part of the big picture. But we do monitor it quite regularly.
Thank you. Council, any questions or comments?
But my only comment is I'm still concerned about 600 cars on Pine Lakes Parkway. It's part of my district. I live right off of it. 600 additional cars is going to be a problem as far as I can see. I think that's too much of a burden. I'm not a traffic engineer, obviously, but I've seen nothing to convince me otherwise so far.
I will entertain a motion on this resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution for the Point Grand Apartment Master Site Plan.
Is there a second? Seeing none, the motion dies. Is there another motion? The motion would be either to deny, or the motion would be to table.
I'll motion to table
table it.
pending a traffic analysis that is comprehensive enough to satisfy Councilman Danko.
Yeah, I'd be good with that. I'll make the motion to table it until we get a traffic analysis that gives us just a little more detail before we go ahead.
Second?
I second that.
We have the applicant's traffic engineer on the Zoom call if you want to ask specific questions.
I'd like to see an actual analysis.
There's a table, there's a motion and a second. So it's not a time certain, it's to come back.
It would need to be re-advertised since with the motion that is on the floor at this time, because it is not, and that's not a problem, just for the record, so everyone knows, this is not going to come back in secret. There's going to be complete, total notice, just like for tonight's meeting. So it would be re-advertised, and notices will be sent out, just like they were for tonight's meeting, based upon the motion that is pending on the floor.
Okay. Motion second, call to question. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Nay.
Motion passes 4-1. Agenda item number 7 is a resolution approving land purchase associated for the Public Works project with Burn Dog PCP LLC.
Our City Council, as part of Council's operational priorities, we did receive the message to continue to expedite the Public Works facility. In our last meeting back in February, alternative sites were proposed and a site was selected. We had Carl here tonight to briefly introduce the site selection, the need for the capital adjustment for this resolution.
Yes, good evening, Council. Yes, this item is a continuation of previous presentations to Council regarding the Public Works facility. During the previous workshop, various sites were looked at, some due diligence information was presented to Council, and the direction was to proceed with option B, which was located on PV grade by the water treatment plant, wastewater treatment plant on city-owned land, to further enhance that site, to make it functional in terms of providing a southern and northern access traffic circulation route, and to offset the impacts of the land that was allocated for a future sports complex required the purchase of some additional lands. So this item tonight is specifically for the purchase of those additional lands to provide that traffic circulation connection, as well as to offset the impacts of the sports complex lands. So this item is for purchase of roughly 140 acres. There were some appraisals done, and the purchase price is below the appraised value. The developer is willing to sell it for us below the appraised value cost in there. So this item is for the purchase of the land, as well as the additional closing costs that are typical with a closing.
Council, any questions or comments on this agenda item? Open up to the public. Any member of the public wish to make public comment on this agenda item? Close public comment, take it back to this council, entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion. I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, it passes unanimously. Agenda item number 8 is a resolution approving a budget amendment for fiscal year 2020-2021 relating to the capital project funds, revenues, and expenditures.
Yeah, thank you. Honorable Mayor, City Council, I'll give you the background, and Helena is available if you have any questions. City Council previously approved Resolution 2020-140, adopting the budget for the Capital Projects Fund in the amount of $8,873,502. That was for fiscal year 2021. A budget amendment in the amount of $2,744,574 is needed in order to proceed with the funding of the Public Works project and address project expenditures for various projects within the Capital Projects Fund. Therefore, City staff is recommending Council amend that fiscal year 2021 Capital Projects Fund budget to, it would be a new amendment of $11,618,076. Helena is here to answer any questions that you may have.
Council, do we have any questions or comments on this agenda item? Any member of the public wish to make public comment on this agenda item?
Okay, respectfully, I'm asking again, my name is Celia Puglisi. You're talking about 11 million something, I heard, because it's not easy, not difficult to hear. 11 million assigned for approval for this resolution, Mr. Morton, or Mayor.
Yeah, are you done with your question?
Yeah, and I would like to know if those where those 11 millions are going to come from, the our regular, operating account, or where? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker. We'll close public comment. Matt, can you answer that, or Helena?
Yes, good evening, Mayor, City Council. So the budget amendment is in the amount of $2,744,574, and we are recognizing an additional revenue of $600,000 from the small county surtax, which has been dedicated to capital projects, so it's not coming from any of our operating revenues. And then the balance is coming from fund balance, which has been saved for this particular purpose.
Thank you. Okay. Council, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve that resolution.
Second.
Seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, it passes unanimously. Okay, well, now to the consent agenda item. Any member of the public wish to make public comment on any items, including the consent agenda 9 through 20, please do so at this time. Seeing none, I'll close public comment, take it to this council, entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, it passes unanimously. We'll now move to public participation. This is the time, if you've already spoken at the beginning of the meeting, this is for those that have not spoken at the beginning of the meeting. Please state your name for the record, and your 3 minutes will begin.
Hi, my name is Denise Calderwood again. Again, my issue and my request is I have a difficult time trying to get calls back from city staff in regards to capital projects, established projects, projects that have been before this council numerous times over the 20-year history regarding parks and recreation and activities and physical purchases of things, transportation for activities, utilization rates of the Palm Coast Community Center before and after the big reveal of building the $8.5 million complex, as well as the $8.5 million assigned to Holland Park. The issue I have is that other parts of the community are struggling, and other parts and neighborhoods do not have representation. And I appreciate, Commissioner Danko for standing up and saying that, he represents this one area and is concerned about this area. And that's either the B section of Matanzas by the schools and all the new construction that's heading out that way and the existing issues with the golf course. Again, you have the Burroughs Park that 18 and a half years ago was designed and paid for by the city council, and it has never occurred. And the past 5 years, we're now going to capital projects, namely the tennis court now is the newest one, and abandoning neighborhood parks, okay? As I just stated, we have parks that have impact fees. They are not being utilized in the other parts. And the fact is, when I keep hearing that, well, we're building these parks, or giving the enhancements to Holland Park, that it's not coming from our tax dollars. It is coming from our tax dollars, just various different, whatever you want to call it. A rose is a rose by any other name. That's what we're doing. We're, moving little accounts around. So when you hear about the capital budget increase in purchasing this and purchasing that and buying additional lands for regional parks when we have abandoned neighborhood parks. Again, we will be in our neighborhood. I will be organizing community walks. We're going to get petitions and be prepared, even if we don't get a response from anybody, because we're not in the right circles and the cliques to get attention. We will have a park, and if we have to do uproar and state that we'll take that land over, we will, and we'll manage it ourselves, okay? Because it needs to be designed. There is a church there, the Seventh-day Adventist. Right across the street is going to be a new development that you already approved, so those park impact fees should be being utilized in our area. The Town Center CRA, the Highway 100 corridor CRA, those funds should be used in those neighborhoods, not the other park impact fees to build the pickleball courts. Thank you.
Speaker. I'll close public comment. Okay, that concludes public participation. Discussion by City Council of matters not on the agenda. Vice Mayor Branquinho.
About 2 weeks ago, I celebrated the life of a friend. I'm just going to mention a couple of things that he said. and they are wisdom, complete wisdom. Blame is a favorite pastime of those who dislike responsibility. Everyone you meet is better at something than you. And this is one thing that really hit me hard. If you don't care where you're going, it doesn't matter what path you take. Those who complain the most accomplish the least. And why do I say this? This was said by John Netz. John Netz died of a COVID-related issues. And as much as I hate this mask, and I hate it, trust me, can't stand it. But on his honor, I'm going to wear until the day that someone in the health department tells me, you don't have to. That's basically it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Clufus.
I have nothing. Thank you, Ms. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Barbosa.
Yeah, I made these, I don't know if you want to hand these out. I made these. I could give them out now or later after I speak.
You can just, we'll hand them out later.
Okay. I want to apologize for reading this, but I'm very angry. Very angry. Hurt and disappointed. I want to make sure I get my points fully across. I am also providing documentation to each of you as proof of what I'm about to discuss. Councilman Brinkinu, I don't mean any disrespect. I am just quoting you. On November 17 meeting, you stated, the only thing you have is your family name, and you would defend it to your death. I strongly agree with you. When we die, the only thing we leave behind is our name and our accomplishments. You also stated that if anyone could prove there was corruption in City Hall, to present it. Today, I'm sad to report that I discovered gross misconduct and corruption here within City Hall that involves an attack on me and my family name. I have evidence that City Manager Matt Morin is conducting a partisan political attack on me, a duly elected member of this council. Since I've been elected, I have been dedicated to providing excellent representation and customer service to the citizens of Palm Coast. Many of these residents have been reaching out to me because they are not getting responses from the Department of Code Enforcement to their complaints filed on issues in the neighborhood. I've taken upon myself to go out and view these properties and to forward these complaints to the city manager. This is a typical responsibility of a council member, and I assume that other council members respond to the complaints in this matter as well. On 3/15 at 11:41 a.m., I wrote an email to Matt Morin regarding complaints received for properties located at 51, 53, 61, and 70 Florida Park Drive. On 3/15 at 5:28 p.m., City Manager Matt Morin wrote Barbara Grossman and stated, Barbara, let's make sure that every one of these that I forward from Victor are coded as him being the complainant. As he is, I want to be able to keep track. On 3/15 at 6:07 p.m., Barbara Grossman forwarded Mr. Morin's email to code enforcement employees with an FYI. On 3/16, code enforcement visited residents along Florida Park Drive and cited them for various violations. In addition to the 4 addresses I've referred to Mr. Morin, code enforcement issued citations to other addresses on Florida Park Drive that I did not include in my complaint. However, the code enforcement officer wrote on the notice of violation my name as a complainant. Note on the copies of the forms I gave you, well, I will give you, that they wrote complainant, Councilman Victor Barbosa. This is several examples of the use of my name associated with properties I did not complain about. This is a direct result of instructions from Matt Morin gave Barbara Grossman to slander my name and my position. If you look at a notice, a violation form, there is no space where the complainant's name should be written. Furthermore, Section 2-229 of the City Code regarding contents for the citation form does not state that the code enforcement are to list the complainant's name. Furthermore, I have copies of other various notices filed on homes throughout Palm Coast that do not mention the complainant's name, proving that listing the complainant's name is not standard for the department or forum. Therefore, this shows that this is a proposed personal attack on me by the city manager. On 3/22, I asked Mr. Moran why my name was being listed on these violation forms and requested a complaints list of the notice violations where my name was listed as the complainant. On 3/24, Morton responded that the system is not set up to query by name, and I would have to submit a public records request and pay extensive costs for associated with this search. Mr. Morton, according to your email, you wanted my name listed on complaints so you could track me. However, when I asked to see what violations you listed my name on, you claimed there is no way of tracking that, and then proceeded to force me into a public record request and want to charge me for the search. As of today, there are many violations out there with my name fraudulently listed on them as a complainant that I did not complain about. I ran for city council to make a difference, to make Palm Coast a better place for the residents, and to leave a legacy for my family name, Barbosa. Instead, I have been the victim of a partisan political attack at the direction of the city manager in an attempt to destroy my family name. When I notified Mr. Moran that my name was being added to these violations that I did not file, instead of investigating the matter, he wanted to charge me to figure out what his staff had done. Another clear sign of which he was attempting to hide this matter and this complicit in the misconduct by his staff. Mr. Branquinho, you said there's no place for politics in City Hall, and you wanted evidence of any possible corruption. Well, sir, you now have it. I asked my fellow council members to support me in a motion to terminate Mr. Morton for gross misconduct, misuse of government resources, and undermining the council. Mr. Morton raises questions of his integrity, honesty, and his fitness to remain as city manager. If you don't vote against corruption, which I have clearly shown proof, then you're in favor of corruption and mismanagement in our city. I'd like to make a motion to terminate city manager Matt Morton.
That conclude your comments?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Councilmember Danko, do you have any comments?
I don't have any comments except possibly to say that sounds like a very serious matter, sounds like serious accusations. Before possibly making a motion and proceeding, I think it would be in the best interest of our council to see what Councilman Barbosa has and have some time to review these emails and these accusations. And I don't know if I can make a motion after a motion's been made, but if I could, I'd make a motion to table this to our next meeting at least, to give us some breathing room, because it sounds like a very serious motion that Councilman Barbosa has just made. I don't think we can take it lightly.
Our attorney to define corruption, please. Can you, I mean, I don't know if this is the proper way, because what would define?
I think the appropriate legal consideration for this council is the request by one of your members to invoke a clause in your contract that this council has, this governing body has, with one of its charter officers, and to initiate.
That wasn't the question, sir. Thank you. We're not doing this. Thank you. Do you have a specific question?
No, that was it. I just wanted to know if what Councilman Barbosa is saying comes to the level of corruption, because there's one thing I don't like. I hate corruption, and I'll do anything to stop corruption. And if anybody accuses me of corruption, I'll be pissed, as everybody knows that I will. So therefore, that's the reason why I was asking if that even comes close to corruption, because whatever, and I don't see really what the proofs are, and I would like to see what it is before.
That's why I wanted to hand it out in the beginning.
I said you can hand those documents out. Every council member can read those.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
You want me to give it to Virginia, or you want me to hand it out myself?
Virginia can hand them out, yes. Thank you.
I didn't hear them.
If you'd like to discuss this with the city attorney following this, you can.
So, Madam Mayor, is there a motion?
There's not a motion.
There's not a motion.
No.
Okay, because I just made one.
And there's no second.
I'm sorry?
There's not a second.
I didn't hear a motion.
I'm making a motion that we table this matter for an additional week to give us time to study whatever Councilman Barboza has.
The motion to table would be directed to a pending motion. So there needs to be a pending substantive motion on the floor before it can be tabled.
And I thought Councilman Barboza made a motion.
Yeah, I did.
And you said nothing. You said you'd like to make a motion.
Well, you asked me if I had a comment. You didn't ask me, I just gave you my comment. That was it.
But there's not a second to his motion.
You never asked for a second.
Anybody can say, I'll second that motion, sir. I don't have to ask for a second.
Okay, normally you do. So I was just following what you normally do.
Okay.
Okay.
Did we pass out the? I have this one.
Okay.
You could take this
I
one.
have.
Oh, okay.
Conclude your comments, Councilmember Danko.
Here you clearly see, this is where you clearly see where Matt Moran told them to put Councilman.
Councilmember Barbosa, you do not have the floor right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm asking Councilmember Danko if that concludes your comments, sir. Do you have any other comments or questions?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I got confused with what you were doing before, and I apologize. I do have a couple comments that are unrelated to this.
Yes, go ahead.
The gentleman that spoke earlier requesting that we have night meetings more frequently, I've heard that from a lot of residents, asking that possibly if we could put at least the 2 council meetings at night and keep the workshop possibly during the day to allow a lot of our working residents to attend. I think it's something we should entertain and consider doing. And I know there may be some logistics involved and stuff, but it's just something I'd like us all to consider. Another item I wanted to bring up tonight. Back at our last workshop, we discussed the pickleball, racquetball, tennis facility. And it's a $5.6 million facility that we're looking at for Phase 1. We don't know what Phase 2 is. But after talking with Mr. Morton, I understand that it's not a time of the essence deal that we have, according to Mr. Morton, over 3 years before we have to spend a penny of these impact fees. And what I have here is a list of, it's a wish list or a bucket list from 2 years ago from Park and Recreation of actually 26 items that they would like to eventually have. And the problem I have with this list is neither staff or this council has ever prioritized this list. We don't have it listed in a priority. And so you got to wonder what's more important. And I don't know what's more important. I don't know what the public wants because we haven't done a specific survey on this pickleball thing. But, you know, would a senior center possibly go to the top of the list or something else or more trails or an expansion on our community center? I don't really know. So what I'd like to do is, again, considering that this is not a time of the essence priority, is I would like to basically make a motion that we put this item back on the next workshop agenda. So where we make a motion for Mr. Morton to put it back on the next workshop agenda so we can bring it up and discuss it further and possibly think about maybe prioritizing this list before moving forward with spending this money. Because we do eventually have to spend the money. Obviously, it's impact fees for Park and Recreation, but it's a question of where are we going to spend the money. And again, I'm looking at this list. They have the tennis center, recreation center, down at the bottom of the list, and they have a price tag on it from 2 years ago of $15 million. I don't even know where that number came from. So I am making a motion that we have Mr. Morton put this back on the next workshop agenda.
Okay, and I have nothing for this meeting. City Attorney matters not on the agenda.
Nothing there.
City Manager, matters not on the agenda.
Got nothing, thank you.
Thank you.
Motion.
Thank you.